It's the 3rd of June and number of the day is 67,000 and it's Bitcoin we're talking about. So that's $67,000, Francis heard, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually taken a bit of a dip, the price.
It's taken a bit of a dip. And in fact, people in our building, unnamed sources who trade in Bitcoin, would say that this is buying opportunity because it's below $70,000.
Yep.
And not too long ago, it was above $80,000. So you always want to buy when something is low, right? But Bitcoin is a wild ride. There are people who bought Bitcoin, I don't know, way back when it was kind of pie in the sky, and they are gazillionaires walking around. Well, I'm exaggerating, but they have a lot of money because nothing became $70,000. But more recently, if you just want a quick overview, it's dropped this year, partly because of the war, by about a 0.25%. But if you invested 3 years ago, you would have made 150% basically. 5 years ago, you would have made 74%.
It's still a very, very good return on money, which I'm happy to admit at this point, I don't even know what it is.
Neither do I. I've always been skeptical of Bitcoin. And it depends which side of the fence you sit on.
Which side of the coin?
Which side of the coin?
One of us had to do it. One of us had to do it.
Because people were skeptical when currencies, when we came off the gold exchange, because you used to have every rand backed by gold. Now, essentially, it is a trust thing when you use a currency. You're trusting the Reserve Bank. You're trusting the country that prints the currency, the buyer and seller. There's trust involved. And Bitcoin is just another form of some invented thing. We still don't know who invented it. And some would say it's even safer. But what I'd love to talk about today is the fact that our courts don't even know how Bitcoin should be regulated.
Sure.
So if you are, so there's a second court judgment 2 days ago, which is in stark contrast to an earlier court judgment. And without going into too much detail, the most recent one was somebody who used Luno to buy Bitcoin. Now that Luno is a well-known sort of exchange in South Africa where you buy Bitcoin, and Luno tells the authorities what you do, because it's generally been considered like a house, which is capital. So, if your house doubles in value and you sell it eventually, you may be subject to capital gains tax.
Yeah, you made some money.
Exactly. You've made some money and the authorities will take a little piece of that pie. Now, there was always a sense that that's how Bitcoin works. But it's not properly regulated. And this latest court judgment said, yes, 100% it is capital. So this person sent Bitcoin out of the country worth 182 million rand. And then the Reserve Bank said, thank you, we would like to take 6 million back. And we want to attach your assets on Luno and in your bank account. And they went to court and the judge said, yes, it is capital. But now, there was an earlier court judgment in Pretoria. Standard Bank was involved in that. And that judge said, no, it is not capital and it's not subject to these exchange control laws, which would be wonderful, I think, for holders of Bitcoin, because that means no matter how much wealth you gain in these wallets or wherever you are in your Bitcoin exchanges around the world, you won't be subject to the same sort of tax obligations or even reporting obligations, because, we have to tell the Reserve Bank if we're going to take a lot of money out of the country, and things like that. So the courts don't know what is going on.
It makes me think of a court case over in the US, and I think this is happening more and more often. Not so much from the, I suppose it is from the assets perspective. There was a very famous court case, I'm trying to think when it was, about 3 years ago. There was a divorce court case. And what had happened is, I think it was the husband, now the ex-husband in this case, owned a lot of Bitcoin.
Yes.
There was a divorce proceeding. There was no, what is commonly known as a prenup. It's an A and C in South Africa. There was none of that in place, which means 50-50. And the courts couldn't figure out on the Bitcoin asset, how do you split it? Because do you take it from the value of when the Bitcoin was bought? the growth of the Bitcoin? Is it at the time that the judge hands down judgment on the divorce? Because it changes almost by the minute. And I think they had to go back to arbitration to find a way, because the judges were like, we don't know what to do with this. Go away.
Yeah, because Bitcoin has these wild gyrations, right? We can end on this in that there's some draft regulation on the table, but Bitcoin holders are not happy. And there's some mobilization against this draft regulation, which is called the Draft Capital Flow Management Regulations 2026. And as I understand it, it will define Bitcoin very classically as capital, and you'll have to pay tax, and it goes further than that. You'll have to tell the Reserve Bank if you're moving any Bitcoin out of the country. So it's kind of like your wealth, right? But people are saying, well, what does this mean? Because it actually says that you have to hand over your pass code. Now, sometimes you have a very complicated code. Sometimes you can keep your Bitcoin on, what's that called? The little hard drive.
Like a little memory stick.
Little memory stick.
Is that for real?
Yes.
I thought it was the movies.
No, and you can put that in your pocket. So if you want to be really safe, and nobody can touch your Bitcoin because it's not even on your computer, it's not on software.
Sure.
It's in a wallet, in your wallet or in your pocket, right? The problem is if you do that and you forget your password, or you lose it and you drop it down a toilet, that's a bit of a problem, right? But this law suggests that the authorities, when you're crossing the border into South Africa, can say, thank you, we'll open that up, give us your password. Or your pass key, or whatever it's called. And people are saying, no, that's against anti-privacy, and that's against the whole idea of Bitcoin, which was to not be involved in all this regulation around the world.
Just as we land this plane very quickly, because we always like to try and give you some view as a South African in this, you're talking about the $67,000. That's for a Bitcoin.
Yes.
A whole coin.
Yes.
I'm guessing it's a coin. But you can buy micro fractions of Bitcoins. And boy, I hope I get this right. You're going to have a good laugh at this. I think it's pronounced Satoshis.
Satoshis, okay.
Satoshis, Satoshis.
Okay.
That is a fraction, and you can get into a Satoshi for as little as $1. Now, if you do that, obviously you've got to do the conversion. According to the Motley Fool, that's right, it is a cryptocurrency website. If you do that, by the time you get to 2030, it will multiply 6 to 12 times in value. So if you can buy lots of Satoshis.
Okay, but nobody really knows the future.
No.
And let's end it on that. People who've been suspicious, like you and me, of Bitcoin, didn't know it would do so well. But it may crash and burn in future.
Yeah.
It may become one of these things that people go, oh, I don't buy that. Nobody knows.
No one knows.
But right now, the courts are giving contradictory judgments. I think the Reserve Bank is appealing the one. So we will finally get regulatory clarity. By the way, the easiest thing you can do is just go to a good exchange that already tells the Reserve Bank what you're doing. There's no sort of hidden things like Luno. You can trade on Luno or the other exchanges in South Africa. And today, what was the amount?
$67,000. It's staggering.
$67,000 for a Bitcoin.